Hello and welcome to A Better You. I'm Jason Mann with Jim Check, and joining us today is Marcy Zychek with KelownaNow.com. We're streaming live on X and YouTube, and hello if you're catching the recorded version as well. We are here in the middle of back-to-back long weekends, kicking off September. So much for getting back into the routine of things. We have another long weekend ahead, and our forecast for the rest of the week for atb.com/wealth Kelowna. Mixed sun and cloud today, high of 19 degrees. Expecting a cooler night around 9. Maybe some rain showers for tomorrow, but that's going to break way for sunshine returning on Thursday, which is great news. I know everybody's very excited about Denim on the Diamond on Friday and Saturday, and we do expect sunshine in the forecast and highs around 2021 for both those days. So Mitch and Kurt and everybody that's got tickets are going to be very happy to hear that. All right, so we're going to take a look at a new premise today in terms of a show for Kelowna Now, and it's really all about mind, body, and spirit. And Jim, you're an author of a book called Mission Possible. Maybe you want to explain a little bit about what the book is.
Yeah, so the book's on, I wrote it with Ian Burns, who used to work for us, who's actually coming back to work for us. I think he's starting next week again. He's back from England. He's going to work with us again. The book is around mind, body, and spirit. So you set your physical goals, you set your financial goals, and you set your spiritual goals for the year. And you kind of then use that book throughout on a weekly basis. You kind of fill out all these kind of like goals, and it keeps you focused. It's a very good book for keeping you focused. I'm just kind of rambling about that right now, but yes. So we're going to talk about some of the stuff, and it'll kind of make more sense as we go through it. So
money is obviously
money. Like I also did a podcast, Canadian Market Watch, which we started doing some podcasts, and then COVID kind of like kiboshed that, so we kind of really never picked that back up. So one of the things I have done for, I guess, probably like 30 years of my life is I always try to find stuff to invest in that I like to use. Do you know what I mean? Like, I drive a Tesla, so I invested in Tesla, and different things. And one of the companies that has excited me lately, where I looked at it, again, this is not
advice
telling you to buy stocks or anything. This is just us talking about like some of the companies that I've noticed that seem to have a really strong attraction for people, and that's why Marcy's here today, because we're going to talk about Aritzia. And when I like to look at stocks is when nobody else kind of wants to own them. If I think Nick can be able to pull up the stock chart on Aritzia, see that it's beaten down quite a bit. Like it's trading near pretty close to where it IPO'd. I think it's trading in that around that $22 mark. So I did want to get a feel from like Marcy. I was like combining her last name, Marcy, on what she thinks of Aritzia, because she also did a report in school on Aritzia.
Yeah, I love Aritzia so much. All my girlfriends love Aritzia so much, and it's all because of their branding and the quality of their products and the pricing of it all. They're super in style, and they have all your needs really, for basic to office to workout. Yeah.
So they're a Canadian brand. They started in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have about 68 stores in Canada. I just looked at their presentation deck the other day, and they have about 48 stores in the U.S., and I imagine they're trying to grow their U.S. presence, because Canada's market is 35 million people, and the U.S. market is like 350 million people, so a much larger market there. And I go into that store with my wife, Nikki, and with my daughter, and it looks like it's always packed, and it looks like people have always got bags when they're leaving. And it's my wife buys, my daughter, who's 31-ish, 32-ish, I'm going to get this wrong. But, and then obviously Marcy at the younger end of that spectrum buys there too. So it seems to cater to, and I look at it as kind of like a higher end. And I guess what attracts me to is like, I really like Lululemon. I wear a lot of Lululemon. And that brand has a lot of product loyalty. And you were telling me that there's an alternative there for Lululemon wear in Aritzia?
Yeah, for their workout line, they have TNA, and it's honestly the same product as Lulu, but just better pricing.
But we're not going to bash Lulu.
No. I love Lulu too.
But Aritzia seems to be, like Kelowna has an Aritzia, and Kelowna is a smaller market, so it's kind of cool that Kelowna has an Aritzia. And they obviously sell online as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just interested if anybody's got any feedback on Aritzia. Obviously, the stock's been beaten down again. Not an offer. I don't own any Aritzia right now. I'm just looking at investing in Aritzia. Again, I like to invest in things that people like to use. So like Tesla, Uber, those are the kind of things that I like to use. So those are the things I like to invest into. I don't invest in things like Coca-Cola. Although, guys like Warren Buffett have made, I don't know how many billions of dollars off Coca-Cola. So,
Countless.
I mean, I guess we're a product placement here for Bubbly today, which is owned by PepsiCo, but I mean, it's straight water.
The margin on this is pretty good.
I imagine, yeah. Anything else? You did a report in school on Aritzia.
Mhm.
Anything in there that kind of stuck out for you?
Their sustainability model is really inspiring. They're honestly doing so phenomenal with the environment and everything. And honestly, they're expanding towards men, and they're expanding. They're hoping to have about 100 stores in the U.S. in the next year or two. So they're expanding pretty rapidly, and just the marketing is great because they suit all sizes and age groups as well. Like my mom shops there, younger girls shop there, my age group shops there. So, and also another thing about them is their products last. I'm wearing Aritzia pants right now, and I bought these off my girlfriend, and she's had them for 6 years, and I just bought them, and they're still so awesome. So that's why I think they had the hype for sure, because it's just their quality is so good.
Yeah, because I mean, I've wandered to that store lots because Kim and Nikki go in there all the time, so I end up wandering around in the store, and I'm like, nothing for men. So then I usually wander outside and sit on a bench out there. So it would be great if they had a men's line. I just think of how much they could open that market. I remember Lululemon way back when Lulu was mainly, again, a female, catered to mostly to the female audience. And then all of a sudden the men's section just seems to get larger and larger. And I think 90% of the stuff I wear now is Lululemon. I just like the fabric. I like the freeness of the fabric and that. So, and I find Lululemon stuff is fairly high quality too. They're expensive for sure, right? But yeah. Anything else you want to add on Aritzia?
No, that's pretty much it.
How about you?
Do you want to ask me anything?
No, not so much about Aritzia, other than I'm wondering if you invest in stocks that you use and like, but you also use some technical background before you really start to look at something.
So yeah, I think Nick had the stock chart up there. So I try to look at stocks like Aritzia in that when there's a bit of when they're kind of beaten down, like Tesla, I only bought recently, and that was when Tesla was beaten down. And I think most of the beat down on Tesla came because of Elon Musk buying Twitter/X or whatever. And I think the stock got beaten down to 106 or something like that. And I ended up buying it at 109, which is great. So I try to find stuff that's kind of finds a floor, and then you kind of have that. I mean, there's no 100% guarantee when you're trying to find a floor. But if you look at the Aritzia chart, what I look at is I try to find that base. I think it's trading near its IPO level. And there's nothing that I can really find wrong with the brand. So then I look at that as a decent entry point. Like if I was to talk about another stock like Disney has really been beaten down as well. But then I look at Disney, and Disney's got a lot of problems, right? So there's a lot of headwinds for Disney. And then I think the old CEOs come back in to try and fix some of that stuff. But personally, I would, stay away from Disney because of all the stuff they're trying to fix, right? But I don't see any issues with Aritzia other than they had a bad quarter. They missed some of their numbers, right? So, which is, I think they explained away as logistics. They're trying to open up more distribution and all that kind of stuff. So, but the store has a really good feel and vibe to it. Like when you walk in there, it kind of feels good, right? It's not like you're walking into Zellers. No beat on Zellers, but I mean, it's a different experience, right? So, or Walmart for that matter. I mean, Walmart has a target audience that they go after, and it's kind of, the racks are displayed differently, whereas Aritzia really has kind of like a vibe to it, right? So, yeah.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on Aritzia.
And then the other thing is we went on a road trip this weekend. Nikki and I, we went to Nelson. I'm going to fold in a couple things here. We went to Nelson, and we're going to do a contest on that. We're going to give away that staycation. We're going to give away a couple nights stay and a trip on a plane because we did and Nick's going to try and pull up some of that stuff. Nelson's kind of like an amazing place, especially in the fall.
I was going to say the fall colors driving through the mountains to get to Nelson must have been quite good this time of year.
Yeah, and I drove a Tesla there and no problems in charging and all that kind of stuff. There was actually a charger at the hotel, but there were superchargers there in Castlegar we charged at as well. Had one of the best burgers I've ever had, and I'm a burger guy. And it was at the Pitchfork restaurant there. And then Marcy's telling it she goes to Nakus. Maybe share your story of burgers.
Nakus, 3 Lions, best burger you'll ever have.
You've been in Nakus a few times?
Yeah, with my best friend. Her family's out there, so we'll visit. And yeah, Nakus is so fun.
It's
a
just
great
a short
time.
drive away. You could start with a burger at lunch and do a burger at
You can
night.
do burger.
You won't be disappointed by Three Lions.
You could actually go to A&W and you could have their breakfast burger as well. So you can make a burger day. So the cool thing about Nelson, Nakas, Balfour, all those areas in there is you get a nice driving experience, but you also get a boat ride. I think the Crawford Bay Ferry on Kootenay Lake there is the largest or the longest free ferry ride in the world. So you get a free ferry ride. It's a cool ferry too. I think I was riding on the Osprey, and it's about a 35-minute ferry ride, and you get to go out on the decks if you want and do different things. It's pretty cool. And we did take a flight on a plane that flew out of the Nelson Airport, a very small airport, and flew up the lake and then flew back. It is so amazing from the air. And I think he said that he can fly to Kelowna in less than an hour. And he can even fly to Calgary. I can't remember, like an hour and a half or something like that. So I mean, you think of the roads and you think of what you can do in the air, and it's pretty amazing, right? It was a small plane. It was a 4-passenger, I guess, Cessna. And it was interesting.
Was it
for
white
sure.
knuckler a little? I mean, those are pretty steep mountains. You got to get a lot of climb very quickly.
I get airsick pretty easy, and I was wearing my bands, but nothing. I mean, it was a nice day. There was no bumps or nothing. So it was. I like helicopters because they you don't really feel a helicopter, but this plane was pretty good. Like, I'm not a big fan of takeoffs and that, and big 737s and that. Once it's flying, I'm good, but takeoffs, landings, But yeah, so we will be in the next little while, like probably within the week, we'll have a contest up so that you can win that same trip. We'll do a special show just on that to show some of the cool things in Nelson. Again, the Kootenays, the colors in the Kootenays in the fall, just unbelievable. And it's a great little drive. It's a 4-hour drive. And again, you can drive it in a gas or an EV. That's no problems there with an EV as well. Again, if you're going now, though, you have to have winter tires.
Yeah, that's right.
Mountain passes now are winter tires October 1st. So, and that drive in the winter can be a little sketchy. Like the Blueberry Paulson can be, entertaining. I mean, you can go the Revelstoke way, right? You can go the Revelstoke way and go to the cusp kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. You can come down that way too, right? So,
flying in this time of year too, I mean, it can be dodgy. If it's cloudy, you're looking for a hole in the clouds.
You're talking about Cancelgar?
I am talking about Cancelgar.
They named their airport that.
Done that a few times.
Cancelgar. It's just like, and you're driving to Kelowna so you can fly, right? So, I think that trip is something everybody should kind of make, right? When we're talking about this book too, Mission Possible, we're going to give one of these away too at the end of the week. We're going to try and do this show daily. And then this book is kind of like a weekly tracker. So you can set goals, and you can set your goals. And if you focus on different things,
different categories in your life.
Yeah. And if you try to spend energy, and what the cool thing about the book is, like, you're always kind of rating yourself. Like, say if you have a financial goal or a physical goal, I want to work out every day. And then you can actually track it. And by the end of the week, it's like, I have not worked out. Is that really a goal of mine, or what's getting in my way? Do you know what I mean? Like, why am I not? Like, I think Marcy shared with us before we went on air that you want to.
I just got into running, so I'm starting out really small. I'm doing 5Ks right now, but from Sunset to the bridge, I'll run there and back. And my goal is to do the whole thing there and back without stopping, because I'm still just getting a hang of it. So,
did you run in school at all, or is it
no,
or just a new interest in running?
My friends actually inspired me. They were just saying, like, one day let's do a half marathon, and I was like, oh, it's fun. So, like, when you have a bunch of girlfriends doing it, you kind of just join in with them. But yeah, it's definitely something that's new for me. I'm really excited about it. I like having a new little hobby, like something to talk about and rave about. So I think we're going to start out small and do a 10K and then move on to the bigger stuff.
Yeah, you've got a lot of marathons that you can enter here, right? There's a half marathon we could start with, right? Mm-hmm. There's the wine something, I can't remember.
There's a Penticton beer one coming up.
Oh,
that's
there
a
you
10K.
go.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, me chugging beers though. Like.
The Apple Triathlon also.
Apple Triathlon, there's lots. There's for sure lots. Yeah. Coming up this week as well, Jason and I are going to switch EVs. We talked about this, but we're going to do it this week. I drive a Tesla Model 3. Jason drives a
Hyundai Kona,
and we're going to switch, and then we're going to compare notes on that. I did watch a piece on YouTube this morning, I think it was, from Kim Java, who I think she's talking about her 5 years of owning a Tesla, and she talked about the ownership costs and stuff like that, which her basic ownership costs have been tires, and the gasoline costs or her fuel costs have been, I think, about 1/10 of what the fuel costs would have been. So, and I know that it's scary for a lot of people when they talk about EV versus gas, right? Because I think it'll get, again, if you're in the northern parts of the province, maybe it's a tougher decision.
I mean, I agree. Northern or maybe even prairie provinces where there's greater distances, perhaps. For us, I mean, we did choose kind of a straddled approach to keep one gas engine in the family, just in case the price of electricity or grids burn out or whatever the case. So there's a caution. It was by design that we didn't go out and buy a bunch of EVs together all at the same time, sort of testing it. But I will say this. The amount of money that we've saved on maintenance and fuel and everything already is dramatic.
I mean, the disheartening thing too is, like, I had a diesel truck and it was $250 to fill it up. I mean, it just gets more and more painful, right? So as you pull to that pump, and the pain is felt for everybody. Even though I'm driving an EV, I still feel the pain of I guess the high gas or diesel prices, because that's in the price of the food.
Oh, everything.
That's it, because guess what moves our food across Canada? It's locomotives that burn diesel and big trucks that burn diesel, right? So, I mean, they have to do something about lowering the prices of diesel fuel, at least for the commercial truckers and stuff like that, because all of that cost is being passed on to the consumer. And there's a report out today for Canadians saying that I can't remember them. I'm not going to say the numbers, but you can go find that, or we can talk about it tomorrow.
It's 20%.
People can't meet their monthly bills. Price of food is just ridiculous, right? So, and then the Bank of Canada finally admitted that the carbon tax is actually adding to inflation. Like, holy cow. I know there was another article out today that talked about the Bank of Canada said that some companies are raising prices aggressively, not necessarily to do with inflation. They're just kind of hiding in the guise of that. And we've experienced that ourselves a few times, and we've made some choices with some long-standing clients where they've jacked the prices up 100%. We're just like, we're pushing back and we're saying no. Because I think at this point, many Canadians are suffering, and we need to find a way to push back on prices as opposed to continuing to increase and to try to beat inflation, because it's just a spiral, right?
Yeah, but isn't that the natural sort of proclivity? I can't afford something, so now I have to increase my rates. And
I get that, yeah. But I think some businesses have maybe been taking advantage of it. And I think, not to lengthen out this show, but I think a lot of the auto manufacturers kind of took advantage of that. Like, you look at the price of like new trucks, and that the price has gone crazy high because they couldn't get them. So they're just like, there was market adjustments. Like, we're talking a lot about
supply
the US
chain
stuff.
issues, right?
Yeah, supply chain issues. And so they're jacking prices up with market adjustments. I even think the dealers, not the dealers, but the manufacturers like Ford and GM were not as pleased with the dealerships because they're putting these adjustments on there. And I think Ford's been having some issues with their dealerships where Jim Farley's been trying to convince them that, maybe they were going to go to a distribution model like Tesla has. Tesla doesn't pay for dealerships, right? So they don't advertise. So they have so many advantages that the other manufacturers are having a tough time competing with, right? And now they're having a big fight with the UAW and all that stuff too, right? So tough times in the auto manufacturers, right? So the legacy ones, and to the advantage of, the Teslas, the Rivians. There's a lot of Rivians out there now too.
Yeah, starting to see more.
Yeah, so I don't know, is there something you want to cover off?
No, I think this is a good start to our new show. Maybe we want to talk about one goal that we're all working on this week.
Sure. Let's I think Marcy shared hers.
I just did mine.
She's going to run, right?
Yeah.
You go next.
Okay.
I'll figure out which one I want to share here.
I've been having some really good success with time restricted eating, but
Intermittent fasting.
Yeah. And through the summer, I sort of lost my way, so I need to reapply those disciplines. That is a goal.
I think like for me too, like I can't remember now. It's like 4 years ago now, 3 or 4 years ago. I was 45, 50 pounds heavier, one of the things that I really focused on was bread and sugar. I cut bread and sugar, which is almost in everything. If you look at a menu in a restaurant, it's either breaded or has bread. Do you know what I mean? Like it's really tough. Or sugar, right?
Yeah.
Sugar's in everything, right? So when you're young and you have a high metabolism, you can get away with a lot of crap. But as you get older, it's definitely harder.
Catches up.
So sugar is definitely, if you can cut sugar out, and the sad thing is sugar is like a lot of alcohol too. And I know when you're younger.
Well, have you ever noticed at a family reunion or anything, you know, if you don't have kids, you maybe don't see this on a day-to-day, but somebody like me who has a 4-year-old, 7-year-old, and a 10-year-old, I see nothing but energy. Like they are running around,
so
right?
They're burning it, yeah.
They're burning it, but also what happens between then and now? Like your systems degrade, your metabolism gets weaker, you get a virus of some sort, and it's, you know, impaired and harmed, and it just, life goes on, and then these sugary foods start to not be processed by your body as quickly, and your energy level comes down because it's all focused on trying to process these foods. And you know, it's
so I'll share some of my fitness goals or my body goals, because that's what we're kind of talking. We've all kind of met that. So my goal for this year was to get down to 152 pounds, which I think I met that around I think it was beginning of June I got there. And it's tougher as you move along, right? To get rid of that little bit of body fat. You know what I mean? Like you're always going to have those little areas that are tougher to get rid of. And definitely I do like ice cream and cake, right? So ice cream and cake is one of my weaknesses for sure. But I do think sugar is one of the things, if you can cut as much sugar as you can. Intermittent fasting works really well for me too. Like when I was losing weight, intermittent fasting, trying to eat in that smaller window. They say it's really helpful in regenerating your cells too. Like if you're sick, I know that this is too long already. I won't get into that, so we'll save it for another time. But I do believe, like, I work out every day, and I make that a commitment. So the first 2 hours of my day are all about me. I do get up early. I'm at it around 4 o'clock. So 1 hour of learning and 1 hour of fitness. And that's every day I do that. Because, again, at 4 o'clock in the morning, nobody there to take that away from me, right? Because everybody else is sleeping. So that's why I do mine early. Because I used to try to do workouts at the end of the day and midday and stuff like that. But people come and they try to, you know, like, hey, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got a meeting, you got to do this. And then so that gets taken from you. And those are tough habits to build. Building those habits is tough, right? And one of the ways to find success in life is building habits that are productive, right? Instead of, like, you know, a habit is smoking, drinking, you know, those are habits that you may want to cut. And then habits of running, you know, intermittent fat, those kind of habits are habits that'll help. One of the cool things we want to do though too, we're going to do this, and we're going to do some product testing or showing you some stuff. Like we're going to take a box of a really famous cereal, and then we're going to just pulverize it and show you how much the boxes are like this tall, and what you actually get in the box is this, and then show you how much of that is sugar, right? And we're kind of like, as parents, and I was guilty of it as well, raised 3 kids. As you look at the box, kids love it. It's easy to do in the morning, and it has all these like fortified with vitamins and all this stuff on the box and the seal, and you think, oh man, it's great, right? It's basically you're giving a roll of sugar, right? Which is empty calories at the end of the day, right? Sugar, cereal is, you know, it really has the illusion that it's supposedly good for you, but it's definitely not. So, you know what I mean?
It's one worth talking about. We should actually do an assessment of different nutritional value of different cereals and find out if there is even a good cereal out there.
I think tree bark or something like granola. I think they're eating it in Nelson, actually. I think they just grind up some pine nuts and stuff like that, right?
But
is that Yule Gibbons?
I don't have a sweet tooth, and I feel like it's because I always just avoid it naturally.
And I think that's right. Your stomach, your the bugs and the bacteria in your stomach, if you're not feeding it, it'll be way easier to avoid it.
They say one of the strongest addictions is sugar.
I just don't have a sweet
tooth. So you're not
tooth.
addicted to it?
No, never got into it. I do love like a bite of ice cream or something. But what's so funny is like whenever we're out for dinner and someone gets dessert, I can have one bite and I'm like over it. And my friends ask
Stay that way.
I just feel like, I just like if you avoid it, or like there's other substitutes. Like apparently if you eat something, then it can cure your craving for sugar. There's lots of research.
Do you know what I've tried to do? Like, you know, like when you're watching a movie or something like that, what I've tried to do is take a bowl of raspberries, blueberries, and strawberries, and that's my snack. Like I'll eat, because it's sweet, right?
Mhm.
And there's a lot of fiber in there. So I'll eat a bowl of raspberries, blueberries, and strawberries as opposed to a bowl of caramel popcorn.
And
right?
you also have your antioxidants in there.
Yeah,
as
do you know
well.
what I mean? So you're getting, because and I like it when it's cold, so I actually have it in the fridge, so you get this little cool little treat. And that's, one way to kind of fix that craving for sure.
Yeah, and there's actually some interesting keto desserts too. A lot of different keto desserts that are
Like
maybe
a T-bone steak or something.
And I think there was like a minty avocado
All right,
sweet
cool.
frozen treat, which my friend Richard.
I'm just making fun of those guys that just like, I only eat meat. It's like, I don't know how you do that, but maybe it works. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm gonna have to dig something up.
I've been eating just meat for 5 years. I'm just like, what? One, that's got to be expensive. Two, like,
No.
do you ever go to the washroom?
All right, so Mission Impossible, or Mission Possible in this case.
Non-impossible.
Not
No
impossible.
Tom Cruise in there.
Unleash the Tiger Within You. We're going to be giving away copies of this later on in the week. We'll dive a little bit more into how to use the book, what's in the book. But in any event, the show and the book are kind of combined in as much that a better you, by sort of following the process or following the framework of the book, you can be on a path to a better you.
So what do you think, Marcy? First time on?
I'm actually having a lot of fun.
There you go.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking to have more conversations about things that will make you a better you as well. And if you are enjoying the content, please like and subscribe. It really helps us stay in touch and spread the message. And until tomorrow, that's it.